Hi everyone, welcome to the Wargaming Parrot. I'm David and today we're going to be talking about parrot biting and ways you can prevent it. So the first thing I want to cover is, the question is, why do parrots actually bite? Parrots bite for many reasons. They bite because they're exploring things, because their beak is basically like their hands. They bite because they get scared. They bite because they're testing things and tasting things. They bite because they want to play. They also bite because of broken trust, because they've had bad experiences in the past. There are so many reasons why parrots bite, and it's just important to remember these reasons when you're considering why your parrot's doing it and how you can prevent it. I'd also like to mention this video is primarily tailored towards small parrots, for example conures, cockatiels, budgies, etc. cakes. They have smaller beaks and a lot of the tips will apply here. Some of these tips will apply for larger parrots and it will be helpful, but please do bear in mind that sleeving your hand, as I'll mention later, isn't going to prevent a macaw bite and you're still going to get quite hurt. So when you watch this video, consider each tip carefully. So what sort of things can you do to prevent your parrot biting? This is mostly the purpose of this video, trying to cover those sort of aspects and seeing what you can do to try and help stop your parrot bite. You're never going to completely stop a parrot biting, and in some ways you don't want them to, because it's just how they express some of their emotions and how they behave and their behaviours. One of the easiest ways of trying to curtail parrot biting is environment. If your parrot doesn't have many toys or opportunities to chew, they're going to take whatever opportunities they can to do so, be it your fingers, your clothing or furniture. So if you can provide them lots of opportunities to chew in their cage and even sometimes outside with toys, they can get this natural behaviour out and they're less likely to do it on a body part that you don't want bitten. Leading on from this, other environmental factors can be contributing to your parrot biting. For example, are they getting enough sleep? Your parrot needs between 12 and 14 hours of sleep a day. If they don't get this, like a human, they get very cranky. It's also worth considering their diet. Are they getting too much seed? Is it just all seed? Are they getting vegetables and other things? Because if it's all seed, they're going to be hyped up, there's going to be a lot of fat and sugar in there, and that's going to make them more prone to biting. Finally, do they have enough space? Space is a difficult one because it's difficult to assess with some parrots. For example, the boys have a Liberta Oregon flight cage there. Pickles has a Liberta Jing, which is slightly smaller. Because she's a rescue, she's not accustomed to bigger cages. However, she still doesn't bite. So you need to consider the cage size. Do they have enough space? And if you can, try and consider upgrading that to give them more space and make them less territorial and prone to biting. Observing your parrot's behaviour is a great way of preventing yourself or one of your loved ones getting bitten. Parrots do give subtle signs that they're going to bite. For example, if you're approaching your parrot and their head's lowered, chances are they probably won't want to be biting you. If their head is raised and their beak is opening, the closer your finger gets to their beak, for example, there's a very high chance they're going to try and bite you. That raised head and open beak is a warning to you that I don't want you approaching me with your fingers or whatever, and I'm going to try and bite you. Some birds pin their eyes when they're about to bite. When they do this, their pupils get very small and they get very focused on the target. So if you see, for example, your bird, which could be a ringneck, which does it very often, doing this, it may be a sign they're about to bite you, so you can remove your hand. It's also important to remember, as with all parrots, these behaviours can mean multiple things. So consider the behaviours as a whole to try and work out whether they're going to bite you or not. As I mentioned at the start of this video, this tip may not be very suitable if you have a macaw or large bird, but it's very good for small parrots. So if you've got, say for example, a conure, like our new rescues who like to bite, you can sleeve your hand. This basically just means covering up your hand, covering up your fingers, which are very easy to bite and very sensitive, and allowing them to step up without having to bite your fingers. It removes the fear for you, and it makes it a little bit less exciting and a little bit less interesting to bite you. So you can train that step up behaviour with a comfortable safety margin for yourself, and then when you're more comfortable with them, then you can reveal your hand and it makes it easier for you. Step up. Good boy. Step up. Another tip to prevent biting, especially when you're training your parrot to step up, is have them step up onto a perch or branch instead of your hand. This eliminates some of the fear for you, so you know your hand's not going to get bitten. It also eliminates some of the fear for the parrot, because they're stepping up onto a more familiar, stable perch, so they're less likely to bite, and if they do bite it, you're not going to get hurt. So all you do is you just train them as you would with stepping up, and then present the perch, have them step up onto it. It makes it so much easier for both you and your parrot, and it starts training that behaviour with a comfortable safety margin for you and your bird. Step up. Good boy, aren't you smart? Something else important to remember is if you do get bitten, it's the way you react that can determine if you get bitten more often and if the biting behaviour continues. For example, if you get bitten, the instinct will be to punish your bird or pop it back in its cage because it's been naughty. This isn't really the best thing to do. If you get bitten and it's quite hard and you need to move your bird to a safe spot, move it to a neutral place, for example, the top of the cage or a table or a back of a chair, something like that. Then just step away from the parrot, let it sit there and give it a minute. Then resume the behaviour you're trying to do. For example, if you're trying to train it to step up, just continue doing that again. This doesn't reinforce that every time I bite I'm going to go back to my cage. This doesn't reinforce that biting really gets a negative reaction. It just means that it's neutral. So biting doesn't really get the bird anything. So this means the bird is less likely to do it, and it means that hopefully in theory in the future you'll be less prone to biting. Parrots need a bit of an incentive to carry out training behaviours and do things. Stepping up and being on you is kind of like being trained. Your bird or parrot may not really want to step up on you, so it's important to reward good behaviour and positively reinforce it. So whenever your bird does step up and doesn't bite you, give it a treat. For example, with Pickles, she doesn't really bite very often because she's a very good bird, but Scampi and Olive, our new rescues, bite a lot. So every time they step up, we tend to reward them with a little bit of sunflower seed or a bit of millet. As you can see, Pickles is not being a very good bird today. She's crawling on the boys' cages, but the principle still stands. When they step up successfully and do not bite you, give them a reward to reinforce that it's good. Step up. Good boy. Let's do fish as well. Step up. Good boy. When you're training your bird to step up and train them not to bite, it's important to take time with it for you and them. It can be very frustrating if you're trying to train them to step up and not to bite you and then they're just biting you. It's going to happen, especially if they're prone to it. So you need to take your time with it and give yourself and the bird some time. Put them in their little timeout area for a minute, step away, give yourself a deep breath and then try again. Because they're not biting you because they hate you, they're not biting you because they're angry at you, they're biting you because there's something that makes them want to bite, be it playing with you because they're young, be it because they're anxious and scared because they're a rescue, or be it because there's some environmental factor at play. So please do keep this in mind. The most common body parts that are bitten are the hands, and closely followed by feet. The hands, for some reason, really trigger birds off with biting. This can be because they don't want to be grasped, they don't want to be trapped, they don't want to be touched in that way. So when you're putting your hand in a bird's cage, it can be seen as a threat, especially when they're in there. So if you're putting your hand in there, they see this giant meaty paw coming into their territory, and they're like, I need to defend this, this isn't supposed to be how it is. So they'll be more prone to biting. If your bird's happy with you, safe with you, then you'll be quite happy and safe to put it in there. But if they're not, it's better to do things in the cage when the bird is out, or try to do it in small bits. For example, with Olive, our rescue, I put my hands in her cage and I got bitten because I was trying to rearrange her food bowl. Not a very smart idea. So now, when she comes out, we'll do it then. Or for example, we will do toys at the bottom when she's at the top, and change toys at the top when she's at the bottom. This removes some of the risk for me, and it also makes it slightly more comfortable for her because she knows this hand isn't coming towards her and it's not directly threatening her in her territory. When your bird is stepping up on you and you're training them, it's important to respect that they are biting for a reason. You need to try and find out what that reason is and go through these, maybe the tips in this video or other things that you've noticed with them, to try and find out what that reason is. Don't provide them the opportunity to bite. If they're going to bite you and showing no signs, take your hand away. Take a step and then try again, because if you're providing that, that's reinforcing that biting behaviour and you do not want to do that. So that brings me to the end of my video. I hope you found it useful and some of these tips may help you if your parrot is a biter. If you'd like to leave a comment or share any tips you have to prevent biting, I'd love to hear from you. But in the meantime, thank you for watching, take care and have a great day.